Santham Academy. Welcome to Digital Kaksha. To get updates on new videos, click the subscribe button and the bell icon.
Hello students, today we will study about the topic electric field due to electric dipole at equatorial point. For this derivation, let us see the diagram first. In this diagram, at points A and B, the charges are kept minus q and plus q respectively. O is the midpoint of the dipole and P it is a point which is taken on the equatorial line. The distance of point P from the center of the dipole is taken as r. Now using the properties of electric field lines, at point A, since the negative charge is kept, so the direction of electric field will be drawn at point P towards A, and at point B the charge is plus q. So according to the property of electric field lines, the electric field will be shown away from plus q, so it is marked in this direction in the diagram. Now in this case, let us resolve the two vectors, vector EA and vector EB, into its components. Now when here this is vector EA, it can be resolved into the two components. We have constructed a line parallel to this AB here. This angle is theta. Since triangle PAB is forming an isosceles triangle where the sides PA and PB are equal. So angles opposite to these sides, they are also equal, and by construction we can say that this angle will also be theta, because this theta and this theta, they are forming the alternate interior angles. When we will talk about the angle which is subtended between the two vectors EA and EB, using the property of exterior angle, the exterior angle is equal to the sum of two interior angles. So the angle between EA and EB vectors is equal to 2 theta. Out of that, if here we have got this value to be theta, so the remaining part of the complete angle will also be theta. Now using these values of theta, let us see how we will be getting the two components of the two vectors EA and EB. When this is vector EA, so this component of EA will be equal to EA cos theta, and along this line we will have the component EA sin theta. Similarly, when we will resolve vector EB, along this line we will have the component EB cos theta, and here we will be having the component EB sin theta. Now let us solve for the values for the magnitudes of EA and EB. Using this formula of electric field for a single charge, that is given by E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon R square. The value of EA can be written as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon AP square. This value can be written as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon. Since AP is acting as hypotenuse in the right angle triangle POA, so using the Pythagoras theorem, PA square can be written as R square plus A square. Similarly, when we will write the magnitude for EB, which is given as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon BP square. Using the same concept of Pythagoras theorem, the value of BP square will also come out to be R square plus A square. This way, from equations 1 and 2, we have got an idea that the magnitudes of these two electric fields are same. Now, here when the magnitudes are same, let us come back to the vector diagram where we are getting EA sin theta and EB sin theta at point P, and these two components are acting in the opposite directions. Since these magnitudes are same and the angles are also same, so ultimately these two components are cancelled out. Now we are left with the two components EA cos theta and EB cos theta, using which we will be getting the value of E resultant, which can be written as EA cos theta plus EB cos theta, or ultimately can also be written as 2EA cos theta. Now when I will substitute the values here, for EA I have to substitute from equation number 1, that is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon R square plus A square. The value of cos theta can be calculated from any one of these right angle triangles, from where I can write it as A upon AP. The value of AP will be square root of R square plus A square, can also be written as R square plus A square to the power 1 by 2. Solving it further, we will get it as QA upon R square plus A square to the power 3 by 2. Since we know that the value of the dipole moment is given as the charge multiplied by the distance between the two charges, so this value of E resultant can be written as, after rearranging the terms, to be Q into 2A can be written as P. So the expression for the electric field resultant we are getting to be equal to P upon R square plus A square to the power 3 by 2. So this way, the value of the resultant value of electric field at a point P, which is taken on the equatorial line of the dipole, is given by 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught P upon R square plus A square to the power 3 by 2. By considering the case when this point P is very far away from the dipole, in that case mathematically we will take the condition for R to be very greater than A, and in this formula the change will be obtained as by ignoring the value of A square with respect to that of R square, and by substituting this value, this condition, I'll get the formula as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught P upon R cube. Now we are going to study about the torque on electric dipole in external uniform electric field. Let us understand the diagram. In this diagram, the pink lines are representing the parallel lines showing the uniform nature of the electric field in this region. Within this electric field, there is a dipole kept at the points A and B, means at point A minus Q charge is kept and at point B plus Q charge is kept. Now, these two charges in the presence of external electric field are experiencing the forces. So force can be written as Q into electric field. That is why the minus Q charge is experiencing the force to be equal to minus Q into E and is directed along the negative x-axis, whereas the charge plus Q will experience the force plus QE and is directed along the positive x-axis. Now, these two forces which are acting on the dipole are responsible for the production of the torque or the development of the torque. The formula of the torque we have studied in class 11, which can be given as in terms of its magnitude to be equal to the product of either force and the perpendicular distance between the two forces. The value of the force can be written as QE, and Bn is drawn by construction as the perpendicular distances between plus QE and minus QE. So, here QE and the value of Bn from the right angle triangle BNA can be written as 2a sin theta, where 2a it is the length of the dipole, or between AB the distance is 2a. So, it is 2a sin theta. When I will rearrange the terms and taking q and 2a together, I can write these two as P, which is the dipole moment or electric dipole moment, into E into sin theta. Since torque it is a vector quantity, so the vector notation of the torque can also be given as vector tau is equal to vector P cross vector E. Now here the different values of theta, if we are substituting, if theta is equal to 90 degree, in that case we know that sin 90 degree is equal to 1, so it will be responsible for the maximum value of the torque. And when theta is equal to 0 or 180 degree, in that case the value of torque will be equal to 0. When the value of the torque is 0, this condition is called as the condition of equilibrium. So, in this diagram, we have talked about the two vectors. One, it was the vector E, which was shown along the positive x-axis, and the another vector was vector P, that is the electric dipole moment, which is always directed from minus q to plus q. And between these two vectors, the angle which is shown in the diagram is theta, in terms of which only we are getting the complete formula for the torque, that is its magnitude is given by tau is equal to Pe sin theta. Now, let us come to know what is the meaning of the term electric flux. So, students, the number of electric field lines passing normally through a given area, it is called as electric flux. Now, in order to understand the formula for this electric flux, let us understand a figure. Now, if there is any of the surface area given in any of the figure, let us say this is the area given for this surface. We can take this surface area to be S. Now, in this region, the electric field lines are given, and as we said that the electric flux is the number of electric field lines passing normally through a given area. So, let us say these are the electric field lines. In that case, on this surface, if I have to draw a normal vector, so that normal vector can be drawn in this manner. Now, the utility of this normal vector is to be understood in the formula. The electric flux, this physical quantity, is represented by the symbol phi. And this value of phi mathematically is given as the dot product of the electric field and the area vector. Now, what is the meaning of the term area vector? This is a given area or a surface area which is denoted by the letter S. On this letter S, I have drawn a unit vector. Now, why it is represented as n cap? Here, this n is the letter which is representing the word normal, and this is the normal unit vector drawn on this given area. We know that when unit vector is multiplied by any of the quantity, its magnitude is not changing. So this way, the electric flux is defined as the dot product of the electric field and the area vector. Now when I will be using the formula for the dot product of the two vectors, in that case, vector E dot S into n cap, now in the next step can be written as vector S cap, because this unit vector is getting multiplied by this scalar area, is equal to magnitude of E, magnitude of S cos theta. We have to understand that what is this theta. So this theta, it is the angle formed between the n cap and the electric field. See, I have extended this n cap vector. So this n cap is subtending certain angle with the direction of electric field. So this angle can be represented as theta. So in the formula of this flux, electric flux, magnitude of E, magnitude of S cos theta, theta, it is the angle between the two vectors, that is electric field and the unit vector drawn normally on the area. Let us discuss about the SI unit for the electric flux. It is equal to the multiplication of SI unit of electric field and SI unit of area, which we are knowing that Newton per coulomb multiplied by meter square, and can also be written as Newton meter square per coulomb. Let us come to know now what is Gauss theorem. Here I just underline the two words here and two words here, and the significance of these words are to be understood in the mathematical representation for Gauss theorem statement. Here it is phi, that is electric flux, is equal to the integration. Since the integration is taken over the surface, that is ds, and here the surface should be a closed surface. For that reason, we are marking a circle over the integration sign. So the integration of vector E dot ds into n cap is equal to qt upon epsilon naught, where this qt is representing the total charge enclosed in that surface. This closed surface is defined by Gauss and hence is called as the Gaussian surface. The shape of the Gaussian surface depends upon the distribution of the charges. So, after removal of this dot product here, this can be written as integration or closed integration of E ds cos theta is equal to qt upon epsilon naught. Now further, we will see the proof of the Gauss theorem. Students, let us understand the proof for Gauss theorem. In this case, we have to prove integration of vector E dot ds n cap is equal to q upon epsilon naught. Let us understand the diagram. Q is the charge and this is a sphere of radius r, which is denoting the Gaussian surface, and it is spherical in shape. Using the properties of electric field lines, the direction of electric field is given in outward direction. This is a small surface area ds is taken, on which we have drawn the unit vector normal to it and is represented as n cap. So in the diagram, vector E and n cap, they are parallel to each other. In the proof, vector E dot ds n cap can be written as vector E dot vector ds and its integration. When I have to remove this dot, I will be using the concept of cos theta here. Since the value of theta is the angle between these two vectors n cap and vector E, which is equal to 0, and we know that cos 0 degree is equal to 1. So we have the next step as integration of E ds. The value of the electric field due to this charge q at distance r is given by the formula of electric field and can be written as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square, and this ds as it is. Now this surface area, it has got a variable value from 0 to 4 pi r square. So the other quantities I will be taking outside the integration sign, and here I will continue with integration of vector E dot vector ds to be equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square. Solving it further, I will get 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q upon r square into 4 pi r square minus 0, which will give us 4 pi r square. In this case, r square and r square will be cancelled out, and 4 pi and 4 pi is also cancelled out. So we are left with the expression q upon epsilon naught, which is the required value for the RHS. So this way we have seen the proof of Gauss theorem with the help of a unit positive charge. Since here there is a single charge taken, that is why in RHS it is q upon epsilon naught. Hope this concept of the electric flux and the statement as well as the proof of Gauss theorem is clear to all of you after watching this video. So thank you all for watching the video.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more.